Hey there, guys. So I just got done doing my prediction for the Alexei Egorov-Mike Perez fight, and the main event from that card is going to be a fight that is going to be an absolute war. I mean, I can't see this fight being anything other than a shootout with a devastating knockout, and it is this upcoming fight between Dmitry Kudryashov and Ilunga Makabu. Now, both of these guys are former cruiserweight title challengers, and for both of them, it ended pretty badly. For Kudryashov, he challenged Unil Dorticos back when Unil Dorticos was undefeated champion, and that ended up really badly for him. He got brutally knocked out in the second round. That was a devastating knockout. It was part of the World Boxing Super Series in the cruiserweight division, the first round, and yeah, that was a real brutal knockout. And yeah, it's really going to be interesting to see because since that fight, Kudryashov has had two fights since, and he had a long layoff. Then he came back and fought basically two journeymen and knocked him out early. So we don't really know how well he's recovered from that yet. But his opponent, Ilunga Makabu, he's in a similar situation because when he challenged for the world title against Tony Bellew, he himself was brutally knocked out in the third round. And it's interesting because that was a fight that he was potentially on his way to winning because he knocked Tony Bellew down in the first round. He had Tony Bellew like buckled a couple of times, and it really did look watching that fight like Tony Bellew could get taken out at any moment. But yeah, unfortunately for him, Tony Bellew was able to land a right hand and knocked him out cold, brutally. That was a absolute brutal knockout. So both of these guys are pretty much in the same boat. Both of them have been brutally knocked out in their title challenge, and both of them are looking to make a comeback. And yeah, they're both looking to make a comeback against one another. And yeah, I just can't see this fight being anything other than an absolute shootout. These are two guys who come to fight. These are two guys who are vulnerable. Okay, both guys have shown to be fairly chinny. I mean, at least in regards to when they fight, good opposition. Obviously, when they fight journeymen, they tend to blow them away. But when they fight, quality opposition, both guys have been hurt and stunned. Um, and both guys have devastating knockout power too. Makabu has a very powerful straight left hand. He has the type of left hand that could catch you like from the outside from distance, and you just don't see it coming, and it drops you heavily. And as for Kudryashov, he's one of the most naturally handed naturally heavy-handed fighters in the sport. I mean, just a massive puncher. If you guys want to see a demonstration of how powerful this guy is, just check out his first round knockout he had against Juan Carlos Gomez. That's a guy who went 9 rounds with Vitaly Klitschko, and Kudryashov took him out in the first round. So he can really punch. I mean, check out the rematch he had against Olenranyu Duradola, where he hits Duradola with a left hook, and Duradola's mouthpiece goes flying across the ring. It was crazy, man. And yeah, Kudryashov is a huge puncher. He really is, just naturally heavy-handed with both hands. His best punch is his left hook, but he also has an extremely powerful overhand right. So I think that Kudryashov, when you're fighting him, you have to be aware that, look, in the first 4 or 5 rounds, you don't want to get even clipped with one of his shots because he hits that hard. And that's going to make this fight so exciting, man. I can't wait to see this one. I think it's going to be edge of your seat stuff. Kudryashov's one of these fighters that I always enjoy watching because you just know either way, whether he wins or loses, it's going to be a devastating knockout either way. He is not a guy who goes the distance. Never been the distance in a fight. He's a really powerful, tough, hard puncher, but he's also got vulnerabilities because his chin's not the best. He doesn't have great stamina. He falls off balance a lot of the time. Doesn't have great defense. Fights with his hands down a lot, and even when he puts his guard up, you get the sense that he's open to the body. He's one of these guys where he turtles up, and there's all that body there to hit. So there's so much opportunity with this guy for him to get knocked out, but he has that equalizer because of his punching power. Great fighter to watch, man. One of the most entertaining fighters in the sport. I mean, I'm talking David Price level entertainment, where it's car crash. Like, man, you just see this guy, you hit him once, either you get him or he gets you. That's the type of fighter he is, man. And Ilunga Makabu, I'd say, is a little bit more grittier than Kudryashov. Ilunga Makabu did fight a pretty decent, hard, grueling fight when he fought Dmitry Kudryashov. And you guys might remember Dmitry Kudryashov was a pretty big puncher. Dmitry Kudryashov knocked out Enzo Maccarinelli in the first round, and then lasted 12 rounds with Marco Huck. He lost pretty much every round, but he lasted the distance. So Dmitry Kudryashov was a decent fighter, and Ilunga Makabu was able to defeat him and was able to grind out a decision victory against him. So it was a majority decision. So I think that Ilunga Makabu, he could maybe, if he's dropped in the fight and if he's hurt in the fight, I would be more confident about his ability to get up and tough it out and win the fight than I would with Kudryashov. Generally, when Kudryashov gets hurt or dropped, he tends to get stopped and he tends to get overwhelmed in fights. So, I mean, if you look at his first fight with Duradola, where he was in control in the first round, but then in the second round, as soon as he got stunned, he had no idea what to do, and he took a beating and he got stopped on the ropes. I think that Kudryashov is a fighter who lacks survival instincts. He's a fighter who lacks defense, and he's a fighter who lacks ring IQ, in my opinion. And obviously, that's entertaining for us as fans to watch, but it's not so it's not so good for him in his career. It's something that's always going to hold him back, I think. So either way, I'm thoroughly looking forward to this fight. I'm going to totally enjoy it. This card is fantastic. Like I said, the Alexei Egorov versus Mike Perez fight is going to be taking place on the card. I've got a prediction for that up already. Really good card. The heavyweight prospect Evgeny Tashenko is going to be on the card. I think there's the cruiserweight guy Alexei Papian, the former kickboxer. I think he's going to be on the card. I'm not 100% sure about that. And I heard that Evgeny Romanov, the guy who knocked out Deontay Wilder, I'm not 100% sure he might be on the card too. That would be cool if he is. So that's going to be a great card, and I'm really looking forward to it. So who do I think is going to win this fight, though? This fight could go either way, guys. This is a 50-50 fight, genuinely. I could totally see Kudryashov getting a first round knockout if he lands the right punch, but will that happen? I mean, Ilunga Makabu is the more experienced fighter of the two. Ilunga Makabu is the tougher of the two. I could see Ilunga Makabu maybe having problems and then coming back to get the knockout, but it just depends. I mean, either one of these guys could knock the other out in either round, so I don't really know if I'm going to call this one. I'll say maybe Kudryashov by an early knockout, but if he doesn't get the early knockout, I could see Ilunga Makabu knocking him out late. So that's how I see this fight pretty much. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section, and thanks for watching, and God bless.